Shri Hare Namaha. We shall begin with today's session now. Shri Guru Bhyo Namaha, Shri Param Guru Bhyo Namaha, Shri Adi Guru Bhyo Namaha, Shri Mool Guru Bhyo Namaha, Shri Matananda Tirtha Bhagavad Padacharya Bhyo Namaha, Shri Vedavyasaya Namaha, Shri Bharate Namaha, Shri Saraswate Namaha, Shri Vayve Namaha, Shri Brahmane Namaha, Shri Mahalakshme Namaha, Shri Narayanaya Namaha, Shri Hare Namaha, Mokshaprada Shri Vasudevaya Namaha, कृष्णाय वासुदेवाय हरे परमात्मने प्रणतक्लेशनाशाय गोविंदाय नमो नमः कृष्णाय वासुदेवाय हरे परमात्मने प्रणतक्लेशनाशाय गोविंदाय नमो नमः हरे राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे अविकाराय शुद्धाय नित्याय परमात्मने सदैकरूपाय विष्णवे सर्वजिष्णवे नमो हिरण्यगर्भाय हरे शंकराय च वासुदेवाय ताराय सर्गस्थित्यन्तकारिणे एकानेकस्वरूपाय स्थूलसूक्ष्मात्मने नमः व्यक्तव्यक्तरूपाय विष्णवे मुक्तिहेतवे सर्गस्थितिविनाशानां जगतोऽस्य जगन्मयः मूलभूतो नमस्तस्मै विष्णवे परमात्मने नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो ग्रन्थमुदीरयेत् नारायणं सुरगुरुं जगदेकनाथं भक्तप्रियं सकललोकनमस्कृतं च त्रैगुण्यवर्जितम् अजमिमाद्यमीशं वन्दे भवग्नमरासुरसिद्धवन्द्यम्. So in yesterday's session we have discussed about Swabhava and everything related to that. So any questions till now?
No, brother.
Okay, so if no one has any questions, we can proceed further. So again, could someone explain what their understanding of Swabhava is?
Yes, Brata. As I understand, Sabhava is the inherent nature of the Atman, and every Atma is different from the other. So different Atmas have different kind of Sabhavas. So some are sattvic, some have sattvic Sabhavas, some have rajasic, and some have tamasic, and these are eternal, and they do not change. They they are the Sabhava of the soul, so they will not change.
Yes, so Swabhava literally means Swa and Bhava. It's a combination of two words. Swa means Swayam or one's own. Bhava means emotion. That's why the nature or what one truly wants or what defines one's personality is called Swabhava. So Guruji is here now. Hare Rama Guruji.
Hare Rama. Am I audible?
Yes, Guruji.
Okay. Yeah, please go ahead. Whatever you were saying.
Nothing much, Guruji. I was just explaining the basic definition of Swabhava and just asked if there were any questions so far.
Okay. Yes. Yeah. Are there any questions?
They said there aren't any.
Okay. Okay. You please be carrying on. Just give me a minute. I'll join. I'll join in a minute. I just have
Okay, Guruji.
In under a minute, I'll be back.
Someone on YouTube has mentioned that he has a question, so we request that person to please mention it.
Yeah, they can even either type or yeah. Oh, on YouTube, is it? Okay. So it's on a okay.
Guruji, I have a question. Am I audible?
Yes, you're audible. I think Guruji isn't back yet.
Okay. So, okay, Pratha, I can ask you as well. So, my question is, so in the current Brahma Kalpa, Brahma after 100 years will go to moksha, right? And then the next person will be Vayudevru will take that position. So there are 100 Rujus as such. So once you go to moksha, you do not come back, correct? Is that understanding correct?
Yes.
So if one by one, if all 100 go to moksha, then who will be after 100 kalpas, like who will be the Brahmadeva? And then how that cycle will continue.
See, the correct understanding is that at a time there are 100 Ruju Devatas in one particular Brahmanda when there is during the tenure of one Brahmadeva.
Okay.
As soon as the current Brahma's lifespan is over, there's one more Ruju who gets added there who manifests and comes into samsara.
Okay. Yeah.
Do you understand?
Got it. Yeah. Get it. Understand.
So, and similarly, the cycle of Sarga, Sthiti and Vinasha is something which has been going on since eternity. So, if at all there were only a specific number of Ruju Devatas, then it wouldn't be possible that this cycle has been going on since eternity, and it would imply that this process has a beginning. And less than 100 such lifespans of Brahmadeva have passed.
So at a time there are 100 Rujus, and then if one of them after 100 years goes to moksha, there's another being added.
No,
And there are
one Raju after the lifespan of the current Brahma becomes Vayu, and the Vayu becomes Brahma. Brahma attains moksha.
okay.
अभ्रमं भङ्गरहितमजडं विमलं सदा आनन्दतीर्थमतुलं भजे तापत्रयापहम् श्रीगुरुभ्यो नमः. So if it takes so long for Brahma to attain moksha, so is that shouldn't be a cause of worry to anyone? It's not that everyone's sadhana will be so long. Everything that you're doing is a sadhana. Don't we have a tendency to categorize and say that, say, you allocate some time for meditation or something like that, and or some, let me say, japa or some that kind of activity, and then we term that as sadhana. Usually we have this tendency, and we tend to categorize, and everything else that you're doing, right, like right now, I'll be sitting somewhere, you might be talking into the phone, hearing from from your device. So that we don't consider usually as sadhana, but that is sadhana. Everything is a sadhana. Now, whether it is a sadhana that's going to take you forward in your journey of life, or is it going to, uh, it's going to demote you, like it's going to take you backward, that remains to be understood. Sometimes a kind of activity has both forces to it, depending on your way of engagement. So there, the question of balancing out would come up. That. Swabhava means the true intrinsic nature of anything. Now, accepting that things have a true intrinsic nature that is unchangeable, is that acceptable to modern science and modern vision or not? What is the general direction that the society has taken? I'm not just speaking about modern science as such. I said modern science because I want to take into account the major forces that have been active in shaping the societal attitude. So what I'm really asking is, in the modern worldview or in the modern paradigm, what is favored? Like what is the way? Like what is considered as normal, or what is considered as the most acceptable viewpoint? Do they accept that things have a true intrinsic nature that is unchangeable? Feel free to answer. Feel free to. I'm just trying to stir up a discussion so that we can reach arrive at some meaningful insights.
Guruji, I think
Hi.
the current understanding of science today is that the base of everything is energy, and that everything comes from one energy.
No.
And
So when you say everything comes from one energy, then you kind of are saying that um, the fact that something has a true intrinsic nature, true intrinsic natures, they are diverse in their. Every living being has an intrinsic nature, true intrinsic nature that is unchanging. So when they say everything has come from the same thing, now that statement is a quite fuzzy, like kind of it's a not a very sharply clear statement. It could mean, we can make sense out of it. It could be meaningful, but say for instance, Darwin published the book On the Origin of the Species. Are you all aware of that? Charles Darwin, whom we
yes,
Yes.
Guruji.
attribute.
Yes, Guruji.
So 1859, 1860, what was it? 1859 or something. The first publication of the book that proposed that evolution is the way that all these species came about by way of natural selection. So that book was published in 1859, I guess. on the origin of the species. You see, he had actually written that down, and he had the final version. I mean, the final form in the book in its final form was ready some 30 years ago, before 30 years before 1859. But he hesitated a lot because he himself had some kind of an irk about it. He had some kind of a problem. He had some kind of a conflict that maybe this is not just right. So when in the first edition, he had even written that given enough time and natural selection, a whale could turn into a bear, or a bear could turn into a whale. So they tend to move in a direction that things don't have a true essence as such. That anything can change into anything. The very proposition that there, even though when you propose a possibility of change over time, now we need to get deeper in order to dissect this properly and understand what are the ideas that are kind of foundational to such concepts. But as a whole, when we speak, a bear can turn into a whale, and a whale can turn into a bear if like given enough time of natural selection. He removed that from the second edition. He removed that statement. What does that reflect? He himself, the author himself, removed that statement from the second edition because he felt maybe it's a little bit too absurd. But the point is that the idea that given enough time and natural selection, one species can turn into another species, is the very essence of Darwin's theory of evolution. And I think other than that, everything else that he might have observed have also been observed before by several others. And even during his own time, there was one, what's his name? He is considered as co-founder of the theory of evolution along with Charles Darwin. Not Aldous Huxley, what's his name? If you type on the internet like co-founder of theory of evolution with Darwin, you'll get his name. So even that person, they've all observed the same things. So, but other than that, other than the proposition that given enough time and natural selection, one species can change into the other, I do not think that Darwin had grave reservations about the rest of his theory. Now, when he removes a statement that says verily that given enough time and natural selection, a bear can turn into a whale, removing that is some kind of a really, it shows something that's not right about it. Don't you think? I hope everyone followed what I said.
Yes, Guruji.
If Darwin removes this, actually his whole book is about it's he at the end of his book he writes that was one long argument. Has anybody read the on the origin of the species here in this group? It's a fun book to read. I mean, you can take some time off and read. But in the end, he says that was one long argument. Now, the very argument was about the idea that given enough time and natural selection, one species of life can change into the other. And when the guy removes a statement that says just that. So that shows that he himself is shaky about his basic proposition, because as I said at that time, I don't think Darwin has grave reservations about the rest of his theory. Am I making sense?
Yes, Guruji.
Please tell me if anyone has anything to add. Uh, but that seems that is just very funny that such a thing happened. But all these things are not discussed in mainstream science. Nobody will tell you in your biology textbooks that Darwin, you know, did this. Yeah, it was, the name of the guy was Alfred Russel Wallace. Has anybody heard that name, Alfred Russel Wallace? Alfred Wallace, he's considered the co-founder of the theory of evolution. Of course, we don't get to hear him. Do you want to know the reason why we don't get to hear about him? Okay, why don't you all just do an exercise? Why don't you type Alfred Russel Wallace, co-founder of the theory of evolution? You all have like smartphones, and like you all can just type on Google. Just type and see what you see, what you get to see. And then I want to ask you, have you ever heard of him? If he's co-founder, if he founded on his own this idea, why is he not mentioned alongside Darwin? Just go ahead, do that exercise. Well, I insist on you all that you just type in your Google search Alfred Russel Wallace, Alfred Russel Wallace, Alfred ALFRED, Russell RUSSEL, Wallace. Wallace is like WALLACE. Or even if you just type Alfred Wallace, the Wallace tree is very famous. So anyway, what do you see? Do you see that he is a co-founder of the theory of evolution along with Darwin?
Yes, Guruji.
Yes, Guruji.
Okay, why is it that you have not heard about him? You want to know why?
Why, Guruji?
Yes.
You want to know why? Okay, it's because there was a lot of exchanges between Darwin and Alfred then, and one of the letters, Alfred, just you know, there's a whole documentary put on the YouTube. It says expelled, intelligence not allowed. You can just take that down, and please take time to see that documentary sometime. Expelled, intelligence not allowed. There's a whole documentary about that. Expelled, intelligence not allowed. It's a whole documentary about uh, uh, all the scientists and people employed in different capacities in mainstream science that have been stripped of their jobs, their positions of honor in universities as maybe professors or research people. So all of these people have been thoroughly kind of punished just for mentioning anything that opposed the idea that everything evolved from a single cell. Somebody like, just it's a common, when you look at the night sky, you look at the whole the nature, the organization, the levels with the high level of organization and synchronicity that exists in nature. When you see that, the kind of you will be naturally inclined to say that there is such wonderful design behind this, there's such wonderful order. Even if a person would just mention that much, he has been denied of the opportunity to publish in mainstream scientific magazines, despite them being qualified and holding positions of honor in universities, and often they have been even stripped of their position. So I would say that the very first person who was stripped of his position was the very co-founder of the theory of evolution. You know why? Now I'll tell you why. It's because he wrote in a letter to Darwin, to Charles Darwin, that uh, all this said and done about the theory of evolution, why can't we accept that there exists a spirit soul which is materially distinct from the matter that constitutes bodies of beings? So he proposed, why can't we accept that there is a spirit soul, atma, what we say, that is totally distinct from the body? Charles Darwin replies to him saying that by even making such a proposition, you have murdered our common child, that is the theory of evolution. Because when I say theory of evolution, what I imply is that everything that be has come up, has been subject to the process of evolution, and that's how we have all these species. I had a person coming from the person who is sitting on Darwin's chair now, like there's a Newton chair, there's a Darwin chair also. So that guy had visited us in Manipal when I was studying in Manipal. So that fellow, yeah, he told me. I mean, he told us in a big gathering. It was a big gathering. He told us, "What do you think the book on the origin of the species? What does that say? You think that is really trying to explain the origin of the species? That's just a pun. You've been misled if you think that that's what it is. Really, what it is saying that all this idea of species is a farce because anything can turn into anything. So ultimately, there's nothing called species. So it's not an ultimate thing. Species is just it's on transit. So you're seeing something now, you call it a species. Well, you might just find it has completely changed beyond recognition if you come here, say, in a million years, because after a million years, the wand of evolution would have worked, and then that species would have changed in all its traits, and it would have got mutated or something, and it would have changed beyond recognition. So you may as well not even be able to recognize that it was the species that you named, say, a million years ago. So Darwin, that the whole book, the theory on the origin of the species, that the world's scientific rigor today is standing on, is a book that the very name is not what it says it is. It's just it's pun. No, it's not a pun. It's a want of a better word. It's not a pun. It's, what do you say it? It's a kind of a ironical. It is actually rejecting the idea of species. It is saying that anything can turn into anything. So that is the core idea of Darwin. And when he says that was one long argument, that is the argument that he's making. So when he replied back to Alfred Russel Wallace that, yeah, you by even proposing the existence of something like that as the essence of life, you have murdered our common child, the theory of evolution. So it's very evident to us that modern science, as far as what they profess is concerned, they are in stark denial of swabhava. Even if they accept such a thing as swabhava, they would only accept that as a transitory truth and not an ultimate truth. Are you understanding the difference between what we mean when we say swabhava in Bhagavad Gita or in the Vedas, and when they say species with all the attributes and even intrinsic characteristics that they imply from that? Now, I said all this so that you get a clear idea of the distinction that exists in our concepts, in our core concepts. Does that help? Does that make it clear? Or if anybody is confused, please come. Please, you're free to ask questions. Prajna, what do you think? Was that clear?
Yes, Guruji. Also, there is a question by one person on YouTube. It's not directly related to this topic, but he had asked in one Jiva's Deha, how many Atmas can reside? I think he was talking about Avesha.
How many Atmas can reside? Millions of Atmas can reside.
Yes, Guruji.
You are having so many kinds of beings. Somebody with the tapeworm will be having the Atma of the tapeworm also, man, inside his intestine. So many bacteria, so many. Actually, now they are finding out that it is like the whole body is about the microbiome. It's all various families of the communities of bacteria that actually
When HR calls
determine
you and tell you we
the
are only
state of functionality of of anything, even olfactory functions, even visual functions, even in digestion, or anything for that matter, is governed by the microbiome. So the microbiome means they are communities of bacteria which are huge in number. So they are residing, yes, they are residing inside the body, but do they have a sway on the decisions that that person is going to take? No, they won't have a sway.
Yes, Guruji. I think the person meant how many souls can simultaneously cause the effect of Avesha as such by residing in the heart as a secondary Atma.
Technically, there's no end to that number, but yeah, usually we don't find more than 2, 3.
Yes, Guruji.
Draupadi had 5, I guess.
No, there it is not a matter of Avesha. Draupadi's case is a little different. It's not Avesha. The Draupadi's is a very different case, actually. Thank you for bringing that up. Prajna, would you like to say about Draupadi?
Yes, Guruji. I had actually discussed that example while explaining about Avesha, as it is very similar.
Actually, it is not even. Okay, that similarity might be very apparent, but actually, what's happening in the case of Draupadi is very different from Avesha.
Yes, Guruji. Like it is basically the combination of multiple souls permanently in that body, right?
Yeah. So it's not about Avesha, it's rather about each of them taking turns. Each of the Devi who is residing in her, they are taking turns, like to be with their husband.
Okay, Guruji.
When one takes her turn, for example, say Draupadi is with Arjuna, for instance. Now Arjuna is actually Indra-amsha. So Shachi Devi is present in Draupadi, and Shachi takes charge, like she owns the body, and she takes charge. All the others, they just sign off, kind of a thing, from that body. They go to what is the word you can say? Like they if you allow me to use words, they give up their abhimana on that body. See, any experience when you are acting through the medium of a body, any experience that you have is like you might feel pain, you might feel the sense of touch. That you're feeling that because you are owning that body. You have abhiman on that body, that this is me. So that abhiman is actually, that is the cause of any suffering or happiness that we are experiencing in the medium of the body. The moment you relinquish, yeah, that's the word I was looking for. the moment you relinquish the abhiman on a certain body, then just like if somebody else's car gets hit, you don't get hurt, right? How many people were
Yes,
okay
Guruji.
when those videos were being shown? There was a cloud burst or something in Uttarakhand, and then Mother Ganga was flooding, and then hundreds and hundreds of cars were being just swept away in the flood. Buildings were being uh, but how many people just watched it? I mean, as they were watching it, I think they even sensed that if the coffee that they were drinking had less sugar or more sugar, it didn't. No, I think they could sense that. If there was less sugar, they would have complained to their wife or to whoever served them that coffee that you need to add more sugar. Oh man, what a scene! So many cars being swept away. Oh, this is a very bad. So this is very gruesome. This is very such a big disaster. Oh, so bad. Hey, why is the sugar less in the coffee? I didn't I say that sugar should be more? Oh, such a bad disaster. Oh no. They'll make a face like that. But then say they have parked their car as they are drinking that coffee and watching this news, and say somebody came and hit their car. Just scratch. He did not really. It's not a really like hit, but even if he had just brushed through even if he had just brushed against his car, and then there's a small scratch, you think that fellow will still enjoy that coffee?
No, Guruji.
He'll leave that coffee and he'll run. He'll go to that fellow and say, "How dare you need to pay me this?" And then next he'll be thinking, he'll be all into it, and he'll be calling the what's that warranty or the service, saying how much will it cost, and what's the extent of
Insurance.
insurance, the damage, how much will it take to paint, how much is the do you need to paint, do you need to kind of replace, what to do. So see, when your car is hurt, even a small scratch, forget car, even mobile, man, nowadays. So the abhiman has spread into that, like your abhiman, first of all, it has spread from your soul, from the soul it has spread to the body, from the body it spreads to the extensions of the body. So something being destroyed will hurt you because you have abhiman on that it becomes a part of your identity. That's when it hurts you. So when you feel from your body, there is necessity of this ingredient of abhimana on that whatever that material composite, the uh, that material, the thing that is there, you need to have abhiman on that this is me. So then when somebody hurts that, it hurts you. So in the body of Draupadi, the Devis who were present, the human beings like us, we usually, I mean, for the most part, do not have that kind of a that kind of a franchise. I mean, that kind of a not franchise, what is that kind of an option that we can sign out from having abhiman of a certain thing. If you have abhiman on something, you have it, and um, when it is broken, or when it is hurt, you're going to be hurt. We are thinking that okay, when the body is hurt, we get hurt because of sensory network, but actually it's not just sensory network. What's happened to you when the car is being hurt? It hurts as much as the body. Like sometimes even the body is better. Like if you get a cut on your body, then you're not really so much worried as you would be worried when there is a cut on the car. So depends, abhimana. So now in Draupadi's body, all these people, all these devis who were there in her body, they would relinquish abhimana on that body when a certain devi would take charge. So their avesha is a slightly different. It's a very different phenomena actually. Is that clear?
Yes, Guruji.
And I wanted to show the working of abhimana here. So when Draupadi is with Arjuna, Shachi Devi takes charge of the abhimana of that body, and the others just relinquish abhimana on that body. they become dormant, in the sense that they don't sense through that body. Being devis uh, of such high yogyata, they have that kind of a strength that they can relinquish abhimana on a body. Actually, in those ages, people had that special ability that they can relinquish abhimana on the body when they decided to do so. We have kind of lost that ability, because we hear even in the Mahabharata war that even amidst war, people would just get into samadhi. They would just sit in meditation completely. Their hand would be broken or something would have happened to them, but despite that, they would just, they had learned this art of transcending the bodily consciousness, which we lack today. So that creates a big difficulty for us to understand what the shastras are saying, because what those people understood and saw eye to eye with each other on various grounds of activities was all based on their ability. It included their ability to transcend the bodily consciousness. Uh, and the whole trajectory of life will be different with that ability. Now, because we lack that ability, there's a lots of shastra that don't make sense to us, because we are so bogged down into bodily consciousness in a way that we have no alternative. So that would make it a little that would make this a little difficult to understand. But then at least conceptually, we can, I think, there's not much difficulty to conceptualize that there is such a thing. That's why I tried to explain with respect to car, body, abhimana. So relinquishing abhimana. Like, you don't have abhimana on somebody else's car. So even if somebody else's car gets hit, you're not going to run around like your car was hit, because you might show expressions of like, that's taken care of by external faculties, but really you would not be so worried. So that those examples and all I gave, so that you can rationalize this in a way that makes sense conceptually, at least conceptually. But as you go forward, as you listen to Madhvacharya's Tattvavaada, it will pave your way to transcending bodily consciousness. Okay, I think that was if you just use your thinking abilities to understand this. It is going to benefit you a lot if you understand this, because it's going to be very relevant to your own life also.
Yes, Guruji.
Yeah, manas and buddhi are different from the brain. Yes, they are not. In modern science, like if a lot of people are, when they are studying Ayurveda today. So even when they study Ayurveda, in the Ayurvedic texts, when you hear words like manas, buddhi, even by far, they are not referring to, they don't intend the idea that in any way that they are an epiphenomenon of an organ of the body, like the brain. It's not to say that the brain will not influence the mind and the buddhi. It's not just the brain, but even if you have a leg ache, it might influence your mind and buddhi to some extent. So it's not just the brain as much as, of course, the extent to which the various limbs or organs can influence your mind, your manas and buddhi are different, of course. But yeah, they all have a say. And the brain, of course, it has a major say on your state of mind. It's like in Ayurveda we hear an example like the drishtanta, the analogy that we hear in Ayurveda is of a ghee pot. So there's a pot and you put ghee in it. So if the pot is hot, then also the ghee will get hot. And if the ghee is hot and the pot is not hot, then also owing to the heat of the ghee, the pot will get hot. So either way, this is the way that the mind also influences the body and the body also influences the mind. So that is there, but still it remains a fact that manas and buddhi are different from the brain. They are not an epiphenomenon of the brain as modern science would have us to believe. What was that question again? Well, you can feel free to ask. It's okay.
Hare Rama Guruji.
Yes, Vishnu.
My question was uh, slightly deviating from the current discussion.
Okay.
Uh, why does a jiva undergo eternal dukkha after it manifests its svabhava if it is tamasika jiva? And doesn't this make Bhagwan merciless? That was my doubt.
Mercy. What is mercy? Basically.
Like to melt at others' distress.
Okay. Yeah. To feel for somebody else's shortcoming or somebody else's problem, and to
Yes.
empathize with somebody else's problem and treat that as your own, and then if you are in a position to do something about it, doing something about it. But here that's not the case. That when the swabhava of a jiva is such, in the sense, what would why would it um, why would it require, as per the needs of mercy, that see, while they are existing in the material world, like for example when Duryodhana and all these people who have been already understood as being tamasika beings, or see, from antiquity, from ancient shastra, when you hear about some characters who have been very clearly delineated, very clearly understood as being rajasikas or tamasikas, even when they are in the material world, they also get to, you know, uh, like this, they also sleep like everyone else sleep. It's hard in this world when they are. It is hard to make out what they are going through in the depth of their hearts. It's not just what, see, what's happening. What you see about a person when you see them from outside is just the surface. It's just like, they say, the tip of the iceberg. The greater part of the iceberg lies under the water. Like it's underneath. It's underneath. So here what is happening, you're just seeing that, okay, he's just sleeping like everyone, he's also eating like everyone, he's also enjoying like everyone, but that's not what's happening inside. As per his swabhava, the way he's receiving that enjoyment is also typical to his swabhava. It is his swabhava that will govern the way that he experiences that even. So when a jiva is of a swabhava that essentially they are not in acceptance, they are, or rather they are in constant thorough denial of the way things are, of swabhava, of uh, and the paraspara sambandha that exists between various beings and things in the way God's creation is conducted. They are in denial of that. So they need to be accommodated in a way that they are, of course, it's actually, rather than being merciless, Krishna actually respects their true intrinsic disposition to be in constant denial of the truth of God's creation. to better understand what I'm saying, you might want to go through the 16th chapter where Krishna explains the demoniac attitudes and the way they look at things. So Krishna respects that. I mean, in the sense, he accepts that they, as per their swabhava, would want to deny the truth. But then there is no there is no intelligence or there is no good sense in keeping them with those who do not want to deny the reality but are very, very comfortable with the reality as it is. So that's why God makes an arrangement for them where they can practice their denial. So why is it merciless?
Yes, Guruji, but in the destination which they reach, they will get the what do you, the dukkha even without performing the karma and just having the intent.
I do not quite understand. You will get dukkha without even performing the karma. What do you mean to say?
In the Andantamas, I heard that they'll get the dukkha just by having the intent to perform bad things.
No, the whole point there is it's not, see, you did some activity and as a consequence you either enjoy or suffer. That is the nature of connections and that's how things work in the material world here. But then there it's not like that. It's not that you do something and then you get something. Like doing that gap exists because you have a body which is a medium for your expression. But they're in the liberated state, they don't have a body. They are what they are and they are functioning from where they are what they are. So there is no real gap here. It's not that you do something somewhere and then something happens. In the Andantamas, they experience and there that is where that is where they practice their denial of the truth of God's creation, God, and all the entire truth. They live in denial of the truth. And that's their nature to do so. Actually, while even as we are speaking this, we don't know if what nature we are of. We only presume that we are sattvikas. Does that make things better? So, if you have anything to ask, please go ahead and ask.
Yeah, Samji, it's better. I got a better understanding.
Maybe whether you arrived at a better understanding or not, but at least I thought you might have got some key or some kind of a hint about that might catalyze, might work as a catalyst in your organic thought process development. So I give you a few things to think about. Okay, please try to remember what was discussed today. I think we'll end it here unless there's any question regarding this.
Guruji, I have a question.
Yeah, please.
Yes, yesterday you quoted the verse from Gita that Aham Bij Pradapita, that Paramatma is the
Yes,
father of all beings.
you found where it is from?
So yes, it is in
Good. It's from
yeah,
the
found
14th
it.
chapter. Yeah.
Yeah, 14th chapter, 4th verse. Yes.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. So regarding this, also in one more place, Krishna mentions that Nattevaham jatunasam natvam neme janadipaha. That
Yes,
we have always existed and we are existing today and will continue to exist in
yes,
future. So I just
yes,
wanted to understand in what sense is he the father? Because in normal, general understanding is that a father is somebody who gives birth to the son.
yes,
But the understanding is that the Atma, Paramatma, and even Prakriti have been existing since time immemorial.
yes.
So, in what sense is he saying that I'm the seed-giving father
Very good you
or
brought up that question. Yeah, this requires a lot of understanding actually, but it's simple. It's not complicated. We run into this problem because we face a conflict between srishti and eternality. So Atma is eternal, like you rightly said. Atma is eternal. God is eternal. Everything, actually, anything that you see is actually eternal. Just that in that akriti, in that structural composition that you are looking at it, just that structural composition happens and disintegrates. So that is not constant, but every ingredient, every other ingredient that was there in it, would have always been there around from eternity. So what is srishti? Be it a father creating a child or God creating the world. What is srishti then? If everything always existed, what is srishti? Srishti then is a reorganization, or not like a it's an organization of these elements which are eternal otherwise, including the Atma, as per the will of the greatest consciousness of God, as per His will, because Maya Adhyakshena Prakriti Suyate Sacharacharam. Everything organizes by conscious will. Whatever is happening around you, it happens by the conscious will of God. So when um, Srishti happens, then the Jiva is already there. In the sense, the Atma is already there. But then Aham Beja Pradah Pita, Aham Beja Pradah Pita means he is the person who, see, it is one thing that the Jiva has been existing. It's another thing that the Jiva has become embodied. It's taken a body. That requires the facilitation of God. What kind of facilitation is that? Just like as a father, he keeps all these jivas in his own stomach, and then at the time of srishti, he, as the father, impregnates the mother, which is the deity of prakriti, with all these jivas, just in the same way as a father would impregnate his wife with um, uh, the atma of the jiva, who with the atma, who is going to take a body that is going to be formed in the mother's womb. The body is formed in the mother's womb, but then the soul that takes charge of that enters into the mother's womb through the father. Yeah, if that has clarified things, say. Otherwise, I would speak more on this. Srishti doesn't mean bringing anything to existence. Srishti just means that combining things and giving them a new form. Does that answer your question, Parash?
Yes, so as I understand, you said that if we take an analogy, then a potter giving a shape to the pot, like a potter taking the clay and making a pot out of it. Basically, that is how Paramatma is uh, working with Prakriti, because the clay has always been existed, and even the potter. But potter, with his knowledge and power, he gives shape to the Prakriti, and that facilitates the soul to uh, perform action and his activities. That be correct understanding, Guruji?
Yeah, but every drishtanta, every analogy has its own limitations.
Hmm.
Here, because I did not give an analogy because it can be understood plainly
Hmm.
that the Atma, because you already recognize the idea of eternality, and Atma is eternal. So Atma never came into existence at some point of time from which we need to perceive it as present. Atma always existed. So the Atma, what does it mean that the Atma takes birth in Prakriti? Means that first of all, he has to be impregnated into Prakriti. Who will do that? By the Universal Father. He's too big to be seen. Sometimes, well, of course, we generally say that it's too small to be seen, but there's also this idea, there's also this phenomena that somebody can be too big for you to be seen by you.
Yeah, so he is the creator in that sense that he impregnates the soul into Prakriti, or he impregnates the Prakriti, and then
In like like any father, that's what has he done? He has impregnated the. But God is more conscious because the father here, like in the human body that we have a father, but then you may be a father or you may become a father tomorrow. So you are not really knowing which jiva is there in you that you are transferring to your wife's womb. You don't really know. But God knows really. God really knows what is the yogyata of that jiva, where should he go, what should happen with him. Niyati, it's called. So all that he's fully aware of the minutest detail as to what has to happen with that jiva.
okay, understood, Guruji. Thank you.
Think about it. You'll it'll become clearer. It's not a complicated thing to understand. It's simple. Just that it's a little, different from what you get to hear in the world. So Srishti has to be understood first. Soul coming in contact with the material body is what happens when in Srishti. Okay. Okay. Then think about it. You'll really, it won't be that difficult to understand. Okay. So I think I'll end today's class here. Shri Krishna Arpanastu. In the sense, I will log off. But if there is any discussion, please feel free to carry on. Prajna.
Guruji, I just
So
wanted to continue. When we say that Bhagwan is like the father, and in the Shastras also there are statements saying that he is the mother, father, and everything. It can also be interpreted as he is like the refuge for all jivas and the ultimate ashraya. So he is like a parent for everyone. That analogy is also valid, right?
yes, he's a parent for everyone. He's a refuge for all. That's all well known, right? I'm sorry, I didn't get the question. What is also valid?
I mean, it also means that this is why he is like one's parent, so he's said to be Mata and Pita, like that.
That is what actually, of course, it's not just a, it's verily so. It's very much. I mean, it's definitely so.
Yes, Guruji.
Okay. Shri Krishna. Achyutananda Govinda. Achyutananda Govinda. Achyutananda Govinda. Hare Ram. Hare Ram.
Hare Ram Guruji.
Hare
Hare Ram,
Ram.
Guruji.
Hare Ram. Thank you for participating. Hare Ram. Hare Ram.
So any queries so far? So we shall be answering a few questions asked on YouTube on the live chat. So someone has asked, is gender, that is a female or male, part of Swabhava? So the answer is yes. This is also a type of Swabhavika Guna. So actually there is one shloka in the Bhagavad Gita in the 9th chapter, the 32nd shloka, which is commonly used to create controversies, especially by the anti-Hindu agents. So they generally misquote this shloka to say that their striyo vaishyaha shudraha papayonayaha is mentioned, which means the women vaishyas and shudras who are of sinful birth, papayonis. Papayonayaha is the plural form of papayoni in Sanskrita. So there it is stated that they are even the women Vaishyas and Shudras who are of sinful birth will attain the ultimate destiny and will benefit by taking refuge in Bhagwan. So now this may apparently seem to state that women Vaishyas and Shudras in general are actually of a sinful birth, or them being born in that body is due to some past papa karmas. So this is how the Smartas interpret it. And if you read the commentary of Shankaracharya and if you see the commentary of Shankaracharya, he actually says, Ke papayonayaha, who are these papayonis? They are te striyaha vaishyaha shudraha. They are the women Vaishyas and Shudras. That's what Shankaracharya states, and Madhusudana Saraswati actually gives a justification for that, saying that because most of the common human women actually, other than Madhvas, no other Siddhanta accepts this idea that there is a category of women eligible to learn the Vedas. So that is another topic which we'll discuss sometime later. So here Madhusudana Saraswati tries to justify it by saying that because those uh, because women have no adhikara to learn the Vedas, and similarly Shudras also have no adhikara to learn the Vedas, and Vaishyas perform jobs such as farming, and they are not very highly reputed in society generally. They are said to be papayonis. And the Sri Vaishnava interpretation is that papayonayaha is a separate category. In other words, the meaning of the shloka is interpreted by them as that women, Vaishyas, Shudras, as well as those who are of sinful birth will be benefited by taking refuge in Bhagwan. Because this is stated because Arjuna was a man, he was a Kshatriya, and he was a prince, he was a warrior. So one shouldn't assume that the knowledge shared by Bhagwan is applicable only to such people with a high position. So that is that is how the Sri Vaishnavas interpret this. Now the Madhva's stance on this, as we explained in one of our previous videos on YouTube also, is that as stated by Sri Madhvacharya, Srimad Acharya highlights that there is a mention of the if you see the complete phrase, it states Striyaha Vaishyaha Shudraha Papayonayaha, which means the women Vaishyas and Shudras who are Papayonis. In other words, if we say those kettles which are blue, are we saying all kettles are blue? No, we are saying those specific kettles which are blue. So here there is a mention of these people who are actually the beings who are born in that body, but their swabhava does not match that body, such as being female, being a Vaishya, or being a Shudra. Now, for those jivas who are Vaishyas or Shudras by swabhava, it makes sense for them to be in that body only, and it is impossible for them to achieve a body of a Brahmana or a Kshatriya or a Vaishya. So similarly for Vaishyas, it is not possible for them to be born as Brahmanas or Kshatriyas. And if we suppose they take such a birth, again, it won't be beneficial to them in their sadhana, because that does not suit their natural tendencies at all. And they won't be able to follow such duties which are prescribed for the Brahmanas or Kshatriyas. So the meaning of that shloka is actually that those jivas who are male, but due to some curse or due to some papa karma, they are born as female. And those jivas who are not Shudras or Vaishyas by Swabhava, but end up receiving that body due to some Papa karmas. Such people are also eligible to come out of that situation and to be able to progress spiritually if they take refuge of Bhagavan. That is the Tatparya of this shloka. So this is what Srimad Acharya explains in his Bhagavad Gita Tatparya Nirnaya, that the real Tatparya of the shloka is that it is specifically referring to those categories of people who do not have those qualities as their swabhava, but end up being born in that body. So I hope this makes it clear. So again, when it comes to the jiva having a swabhava of being a male or female, it means that the jiva has certain qualities which determine its tendency and whether a male body or a female body is suitable for its sadhana and for it to properly achieve Bhagavan and progress in whatever task it does according to its swabhava. So any queries regarding this or anything else? Okay, so a question on how can I know my varna nowadays? So the basic thing is the varna is of two types, as we explained already: swabhavika and aupadhika. Swabhavika varna can be known over time through careful observation of one's qualities and by seeing if that person truly has the qualities which are most suited to being a brahmana, kshatriya, vaishya, or shudra. Now, swabhavika varna truly exists only in the sattvika manushyas. Among the sattvika jivas, in those jivas who are manushyas, they have this additional quality of swabhavika varna, or that varna whose qualities are their natural tendency. And regarding aupadhika varna, which is the birth varna obtained by ancestry and by one's conduct, so that is one thing which swabhavika varna is difficult to know. So in society, we generally follow, in 99% of the cases, we just go with aupadhika varna because that is easy to follow, and through following the duties of one's aupadhika varna, one can subsequently attain a birth suited to their swabhavika varna or can go to a higher loka and continue their sadhana till they achieve aparuksha jnana. So regarding knowing one's varna now, it depends on their first is their samskaras, which is obtained by ancestry and is supposed to be done by one's parents. Then the next part is their knowledge of the Vedas, that is the Shruti, and their conduct, and that is their achara. So if these three qualities properly align with their respective varna, then they are said to belong to a certain varna in society. And as far as I know, there is no gotra called Naga. Every gotra is has descended from one of the Saptarshis, and those gotras are usually the names of rishis. So the actual Vaidika gotra of a person will be will have to belong to one of the rishis, and the person will have to belong to a particular Veda to which that rishi belongs. So for those who are not aware of that in today's times, they'll need to track it down through their family elders or through ancestral records. Isn't that shloka applicable to non-Brahmana jivas in a Brahmana body? Not exactly, because usually a jiva who is not a Brahmana by Swabhava usually won't get the birth of a Brahmana. But again, it may be possible in some cases. I haven't confirmed this, but again, if at all that happens, that may be due to excess punya, we could say that. And that is again not suited to their Swabhava. So that is also possible, because if at all we suppose that a Shudra by Swabhava is born as a Brahmana, again that will not be suited and he will have downfall soon, and he will not be able to practice that dharma properly because that does not suit what the person truly wants from his or her heart. Any further queries?
I have a query, not about this topic, but it's about Linga Deha. So I've read that towards the end, like do all the souls like lose their Linga Deha, or only the ones that have attained moksha?
If you mean the Sukshma Sharira, that is that is not part of the Atma. So usually that is mainly temporarily the Linga Deha or Sukshma Sharira, as we call it, will be there during samsara with the Atma. But once the Atma achieves moksha, that is left behind. That is the Atma sheds that off.
Yeah. So do all the jivas lose that, or only the ones that get moksha towards the end? I read that like Tamsika jivas also lose their Linga Deha.
Only those who are Satvikas and Tamasikas, once they attain their respective destinies.
Okay.
Those who are, as long as one is in samsara, they will have that.
Okay. And what is like the constituent of that Linga Deha? Do we have the Satvika, Rajasika, Tamas Tattva in that, or what is the constituent of that?
See, Sattva, Rajas, and Tamas, again, as said earlier, is of two types, Prakritika and Swabhavika. So, Swabhava is inherent to that Atma. It is not associated with any body or any part of the body. So, Linga Deha is basically constituted by Buddhi, Manas, and Chitta. So, and Ahankara also, but this is not, this does not contain the Swabhavika Gunas. Swabhavika Gunas is not a separate property of the jiva as such, but it is something like the characteristic of the jiva itself, like sugar and its sweetness, chili and its spice, like that. So that way, the swabhavika gunas are something which the soul itself has and the soul itself is. Even the intellect of the soul, the thought processes of the soul, all of these are all the swabhavika gunas. Of course, there is a slight influence of Prakriti also here due to Prabhava, but Swabhava is determined by these qualities which are inherent to the Atma. That does not have any relation to the body or any of these things. Does that make it clear?
Okay. Yeah, yes. But I've read that like towards the end, which is the end of this kalpa. So even Rajasika jivas lose their Linga Deha, Tamsika jivas will lose their Linga Deha, and Satvika jivas will lose their Linga Deha. So after the creation happens again, will they again get that Linga back, like Rajasika jivas, which are like Nitya Samsaris?
Yes, they will come back to samsara, so they will get that back. Temporarily, it will be destroyed because they'll get into an inactive and unmanifested state, but again, they'll come back later.
Right, got it. Thank you.
Any more questions? So one person has stated that he had posted a comment in the comments of session 18. So and the question is too long. Okay, we'll get back to that during the next session, as we cannot refer to that right away, and we'll need to check the comments later. One of our moderators will do it. So any further queries? So if there are no more questions, I guess we can end here for now. The next session will be held next Saturday as usual at 8 p.m. ಧನ್ಯವಾದ. ಶ್ರೀ ಕೃಷ್ಣಾರ್ಪಣಮಸ್ತು. ಅಚ್ಯುತಾಯ ನಮಃ, ಅನಂತಾಯ ನಮಃ, ಗೋವಿಂದಾಯ ನಮಃ.
Hare